Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita mulakan kelas kita pada pagi ini dengan membaca ummul kitab Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin arrahmanirrahim maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, ampunkanlah dosa-dosa kami, ampunkanlah dosa kedua ibu bapa kami, dan kasihlah mereka sebagaimana mereka mengasihi kami di masa kecil. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, kurniakanlah kepada kami ilmu yang bermanfaat untuk diri kami, keluarga kami, agama kami, bangsa kami dan negara kami. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, berilah kepada kami kejayaan di dunia dan di akhirat. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, jadikanlah kami orang-orang yang bersyukur. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Alhamdulillah, kita bersyukur pada Allah Subhanahu wa taala. Pada pagi ini kita dapat bersama sekali lagi dalam kelas kita untuk minggu yang ketiga daripada 14 minggu ya. Okey, jadi tanpa melengahkan masa, insya-Allah kita akan sambung dengan tajuk baru kita, iaitu agriculture. Okey, MFRS 141 Agriculture. Okay, throughout the part 1 until part 4, you have learned a lot about MFRSs, yeah, including MFRS 101, 102, MFRS 115, MFRS 15. Okay, there are a lot of MFRS that you have learned, and this is actually another MFRS. Okay, in the previous chapter, we learned about MFRS 138, and this one is MFRS 141. Okay, so this is the framework for agriculture. Okay, we are not going to learn everything. Okay, we are not going to learn everything, but we can see from here the framework whereby, okay, the framework of agriculture. We can see in the left hand side and the right hand side, we have two items. That is, the first one, biological asset. And biological asset, for example, sheep. And in the right side, we can see agricultural produce, for example, wool. So this sheep and wool, they are agriculture. They are biological asset. Okay, they are considered as part of agriculture. Okay, we only mentioned about one example here. Okay, and then we talk about definition, and we talk about recognition. Okay, for recognition, there will be recognition criteria, and for example, control, control, and then fair value, or cost can be measured reliably, and also future economic benefit. And then we talk about measurement. There will be initial and subsequent measurement. For initial measurement, the biological asset will be measured at fair value less cost to sell. Okay, if the fair value and less cost to sell is unable to be found in the market, then it will be based on cost less accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment. Okay, and then under the agriculture, there is also government grant under MFRS 120. Okay, and then okay, about the measurement just now. After measurement, okay, we will have some issues. Okay, some issues, for example, gain or loss. Okay, and gain or loss, where the gain or loss goes. Okay, you will go to statement of profit or loss. And then we talk about subsequent measurement. The subsequent measurement will also be measured at fair value less cost to sell, provided it is there is an active market. Okay, so we are also talking about agricultural produce. Okay, and for agricultural produce is still under MFRS 141, but agricultural product, it will be under MFRS 102 inventory. Okay, so basically this is the framework. We are not going to learn everything. Okay, we start with agriculture. What is agriculture? Okay, agriculture in financial accounting and reporting refers to biological asset. So when we talk about agriculture in accounting, in financial accounting, we are actually talking about biological asset. Okay, such as plants, such as animals, and agricultural produce. So kat sini ada tiga jenis lah ya. There are three types. The first one is there are three categories. The first one is plants. The second one is animals. The third one is agricultural produce. The agricultural produce is normally coming from plant and animals. Okay, so the examples of agricultural produce are milk, eggs, and latex. Okay, agricultural activity. Now we want to talk about agricultural activity. What is basically agricultural activity? Anything about management. Yeah, agricultural activity is anything about the management. What is management? Management is referring to transformation of biological asset through different phases. Okay, so agricultural activity is referring to management. Management is referring to the transformation of biological asset through different phases. And then the main issues covered by the standards are, number one, recognition of biological asset and agricultural produce. That is the first issue. Okay. The second issue is measurement of biological asset and agricultural produce. Number one is recognition. Secondly is measurement, how to measure. And the third one is the accounting treatment of the transformation process. So basically when we learn about agriculture, okay, we are also learning about the same thing that we have learned in any other MFRS. So in other MFRS also we learn about the definition, about the recognition, about the measurement, and also the accounting treatment. And the same goes to agriculture. Okay. Now, what is biological transformation? Okay. Just now, agricultural activity is involving management of transformation. So, what is biological transformation? Biological transformation involve, number one, growth. Yeah, the biological transformation result in growth. What is growth? Growth ni berkembang. Growth ni berkembang. What is growth? Growth berkembang. What is the meaning of growth? Increase in size. Increase in size. Increase in size. For example, if we involve in apa ni, kita kata membela binatang ataupun membela lembu. Okay, so lembu tadi mula-mula dia kecil. Anak lembu kita panggil calf. Kemudian dia membesar. Apabila berumur 6 bulan. Dan kemudian umur dia meningkat lagi setahun setengah, 2 tahun. Okay, we can see the increase in size. Okay, we can see the increase in size. And then also the increase in quantity. Increase in quantity, maybe plant. So we cultivate plant, and then the plant increase in quantity. increase in quantity, and also improvement in quality. That is regarded as growth, and this growth is as a result of biological transformation. Kemudian yang kedua adalah procreation. Procreation, creation of new additional living plants and animals. Okay. Jadi living plant tadi, living plant ataupun animals tadi dia bertambah. Bertambah ni maksudnya kalau animal ni dia animal yang dia melahirkan anak dia. Melahirkan anak dia daripada seekor lembu kepada 2 ekor, kepada 3 ekor dan seterusnya. Kemudian yang ketiga, degeneration. Degeneration is referring to deterioration in quality and decrease in quantity. So basically, these are the results of biological transformation. Okay, let's look at definitions under agricultural activities. Okay, under MFRS 141 agriculture, the first one is agricultural activity. So just now we have mentioned about agricultural activity here. Agricultural activity is the management of biological transformation. Okay, so this is the same. This is the management by an entity. Management by an entity of the biological transformation of biological asset, okay, for sale or into agricultural produce or into additional biological asset. So basically it is, okay, the transformation process, transformation process of the biological asset, okay, for the purpose of sale of the biological asset or for the purpose of agricultural produce or for the purpose of additional biological asset. What is agricultural produce? Agricultural produce, it is the harvested product of the entity biological asset. The harvested product of the entity biological asset. Okay, if we are talking about oil palm, oil palm. We are talking about oil palm ataupun pokok kelapa sawit, the product, produk yang kita panggil agricultural produce adalah buah kelapa sawit. If we are talking about durian tree, okay, the agricultural produce is durian. If we are talking about coconut tree, the agricultural produce is coconut fruit. Okay, so it is the harvested product of the entity's biological asset. And then what is biological asset? Biological asset is a living animal or plant. Living animal or plant. So biological asset ni kenalah hidup. Jadi pokok mati ataupun haiwan yang mati dia tidak dikira sebagai biological asset. It must be living animal or living plant. Okay, biological transformation. It comprises the process of growth, degeneration, production, and procreation that cause qualitative or quantitative changes in the biological asset. Okay, that is biological transformation. What about harvest? Harvest is the detachment of produce from a biological asset or cessation of biological asset life process. That is harvest. Harvest ni biasanya kalau kita tengok harvest ni adalah apa kita panggil menuai. Harvest ni menuai. So menuai padi, apa lagi menuai. So detachment of produce. Detachment of produce, if we are talking about oil palm, detachment of the fruit from the tree. Okay, if we are talking about durian, okay, detachment of the fruit from the tree. If we are talking about coconut tree, it is detachment of coconut fruit from the coconut tree. So harvest means detachment of produce. The coconut tree is produce. For rubber tree, detachment of latex, susu getah from the rubber tree. Okay, from a biological asset or cessation of a biological asset, life process. Ataupun kalau biological asset tadi pokok yang tidak menghasilkan buah, tetapi dia pokok tadi kita boleh tebang, pokok kita tebang dan pokok tebang tadi menghasilkan, apabila kita tebang tu dia jadi detach lah, detach ataupun cessation of biological asset, life process. So pokok balak contohnya, bila kita tebang pokok balak maka berakhirlah riwayat pokok tadi. Tapi berakhirnya riwayat pokok tadi tu dikira sebagai harvest. Sebagai harvest. A group of biological asset. It is an aggregation of similar living animal or plants. Aggregation of similar living animal or plants. Okay, jadi maknanya aggregation ni kita buat di mana? Aggregation ni kita akan buat dalam kita punya financial statement lah, of course. Kita aggregate ni maknanya kita gabung. Aggregate maknanya kita gabung. Disaggregate kita pisahkan. Jadi aggregation must be for a group of biological asset. Okay, so kalau lembu dengan kambing bolehlah kita nak aggregate kan. Lembu, kambing, unta. We can aggregate them. Kemudian plants, kita boleh aggregatekan plant dengan plant. Okay, then what is cost to sell? Cost to sell is the incremental cost directly attributable to the disposal of an asset, excluding finance cost and income tax. So any other cost other than finance cost, interest, finance cost is interest and income tax, in order to sell the biological asset, in order to sell the agricultural produce, that can be considered as incremental cost, and that is actually cost to sell. Cost to sell. So the cost to sell the durian, the cost to sell the coconut tree, the cost to sell the latex, and the cost to sell the oil palm, oil palm fruit, ataupun palm oil fruit, so that can be considered as cost to sell. Then consumable biological asset. What are consumable biological assets? They are those that are to be harvested as agricultural produce or sold as biological asset. Those that are to be harvested as agricultural produce or sold as biological asset. Jadi kedua-duanya sekali. Consumable itu kita anggap sebagai apa dia? Any harvested agricultural produce. Ataupun it can be sold as a biological asset. Examples of consumable asset. Example, livestock intended for production of meat. What is livestock? Livestock ni adalah haiwan ternakan. Haiwan ternakan terdiri daripada lembu, kambing, kerbau, kambing biri-biri, unta, rusa. Livestock intended for production of meat. So livestock intended for production of meat is different from livestock held for sale. Livestock juga, tapi held for sale. Jadi, maknanya livestock intended for production of meat tadi, kita akan sembelih dan kita akan jual daging. So daging tadi dikira sebagai produce. Daging dikira sebagai produce. Tetapi livestock held for sale, kita tak jual daging, kita jual lembu, kita jual kambing, kita jual unta, kita jual rusa yang masih hidup. Livestock held for sale. And then another example is fish in farms. Fish in ponds. Jadi fish ni kita bela di dalam kolam kita. Dan bila kita bela dalam kolam, maka itu dikira sebagai consumable biological assets. Apa lagi? Crops such as maize and wheat. Jadi crops ni adalah tanaman lah, tumbuh-tumbuhan. Kemudian produce on bearer plant. Produce on bearer plant. Produce bearer plant. Bearer plant, pokok getah, pokok kelapa sawit, pokok kelapa, pokok kapas, itu semua adalah bearer plant. Jadi kelapa, kapas, getah, kelapa sawit itu semua adalah produce on bearer plant. Kemudian yang terakhir sekali adalah trees being grown for lumber. Pokok yang kita tanam pokok, tujuan dia untuk kita ambil kayu dia. So these are the list of examples. We can see from here what are the biological assets, what are the agricultural produce, and what are the products that are the result of processing after harvest. So there are three categories. We have 3 columns here. For the biological assets, for example, sheep, the agricultural produce of sheep is wool. Wool. So bulu yang kita detach daripada sheep itu adalah agricultural produce. So agricultural produce is under biological asset ataupun kita masukkan dalam MFRS 141. But the product that are the result of the processing after harvest, yarn, carpet, it is not agricultural produce. It will be under MFRS 102 inventory. Trees in a timber plantation. Trees in the timber plantation itu adalah biological asset. Apakah dia punya produce dia? Fell trees. Pokok yang ditumbangkan, pokok yang ditebang tadi, kira sebagai agricultural produce. And the product, log, lumber, is inventory. Dairy cattle. Jadi lembu yang kita bela untuk tujuan mendapatkan susu, dairy cattle. The agricultural produce is fresh milk. The inventory is cheese. Anything that has been processed is not agricultural produce. It is product. So MFRS 102. Pig, the agricultural produce carcass. And then the product is sausage, cured hams, and so on. Cotton plants. The agricultural produce, harvested cotton. And then the product are thread and clothing. Sugar cane, harvested cane, sugar. So gula, dia bukanlah kita dapat direct daripada sugar cane, pokok tebu. Jadi gula tadi kena proses dulu. Bukan kita tebang tebu tiba-tiba jadi gula. Magic jadi gula. Jadi kita punya harvested cane. Harvested cane tu dikira sebagai produce. So kalau kita jual harvested cane, itu dikira sebagai MFRS 141. And then tobacco plant. Fig leaves, cured tobacco. Tea bushes, fig leaves, tea. Grapevines, fig grapes, wine. Fruit trees, fig fruit, processed fruit. Jadi fig fruit ni buah, katakan kita petik buah lah, buah mangga katakan, buah mangga. So buah mangga tadi adalah agricultural produce. Manakala katalah buah mangga tadi jadi jam ke, ataupun buah mangga tadi diproses untuk menjadi buahan dalam tin, processed fruit, maka dia adalah dia kira sebagai inventory. Oil palms. Oil palms, pokok kelapa sawit. Apakah dia punya agricultural produce? Palm oil fruit. Palm oil fruit. Kemudian dia punya produk, palm oil, minyak masak. ataupun minyak kelapa sawit. Okey. Kemudian rubber trees, kita punya agricultural produce adalah harvested latex and product dia adalah rubber product. Okay, so after we look at this table, okay, we look at the left hand side with red color. Okay, left hand side with red color, cotton plants, tea bushes, grapevines, fruit trees, oil palms, and rubber trees usually meet the definition of bearer plant under MFRS 116. So basically, cotton plant, tea bushes, grapevine, fruit trees, oil palms, and rubber trees, they are not under MFRS 141, but they are under MFRS 116. However, their produce are within the scope of MFRS 141. So kita tengok kat sini, semuanya adalah agricultural produce. Harvested cotton, cane, pig leaf, pig fruit, harvested latex ni, semuanya sebagai agricultural produce. Tetapi pokok dia tu, kalau kita tengok kat sini, sebahagian daripada pokok-pokok ni, okay, walaupun kita nyatakan dia sebagai biological asset, tapi biological asset yang masuk sebagai property plant equipment under MFRS 116. Okay, dia bukan biological asset under MFRS 141. Okay, sebab dia fulfill the definition of biological asset. They fulfill the definition of property plant and equipment. Okay, apa dia property plant equipment? Property plant equipment adalah tangible non-current asset. Tangible non-current asset where the purpose is to produce. The purpose is to produce product. To produce product or to render service. And the life is more than 1 year. The life is more than 1 year. So kalau kita tengok kat sini, cotton plant, tea bushes, grapevines, fruit trees, oil palm, semua ni, rubber tree, memang umur dia more than 1 year. So dia fulfill definition of property plant equipment MFRS 116. Okay, initial recognition of biological asset. Initial recognition of biological asset. Biological asset and agricultural produce are recognized only when the entity has control over the asset as a result of past event. So control is the most important criteria for recognition. Recognition of an agricultural produce and also biological asset. Okay. The company must have control over the asset. It is probable that the economic benefit associated with the asset will flow to the entity, and the cost of fair value can be measured reliably. So these are the most important thing. Okay, actually, whenever we learn about anything, especially we learn about property plant equipment, we learn about intangible asset, for example. Okay, we are also talking about these three. Control. Okay, we're also talking about probable future economic benefit, and the cost can be measured reliably. The only difference here in MFRS 141, okay, it is actually the cost of fair value. Not only the cost of fair value, and preferably fair value. The cost can only be used if the fair value is not available. If the fair value is not available, then we use the cost. Control can be evidenced by the legal ownership. Okay, economic benefit may be in the form of physical growth. Okay, so not only in the form of sale, but also in the form of physical growth. Physical growth is also economic benefit. Jadi perkembangan size, perkembangan berat, perkembangan umur dia, itu dikira sebagai economic benefit. But economic benefit must be able to be measured in the form of RM, in the form of currency. Jadi kalau lembu tadi umur dia 6 bulan, Lembu umur 6 bulan, harga dia 1,000. Dia pay fair value less cost to sell is 1,000. So kalau umur dia 1 tahun, kalau umur dia 1 tahun, maka fair value less cost to sell dia mungkin 1,500. So the increase from 1,000 to 1,500 is actually economic benefit in the form of physical growth. In the form of physical growth. Measurement of biological asset. The biological asset are measured initially at each reporting date at fair value less cost to sell. The biological asset are measured initially at each reporting date at fair value less cost to sell. Where the fair value cannot be measured reliably initially, the asset is measured at cost less any accumulated depreciation less any impairment loss. Jadi kalau katakan the fair value cannot be measured reliably. So we go back to the cost and we are going to depreciate. We are going to depreciate the biological asset. For agricultural produce that are harvested from the biological asset, the measurement is fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. Okay. The fair value is the measurement. The measurement is based on fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. So for example, palm oil fruit. Palm oil fruit. Jadi buah kelapa sawit. Buah kelapa sawit ni, berapakah dia fair value less cost to sell? Fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. At the point of harvest. Jadi berapa harga sekilogram sekarang ni kelapa sawit? Jadi kita macam tu lah. The price per kilogram is is changing every time. Jadi mungkin sekarang ni harga yang paling mahal sekarang ni harga kelapa sawit. Jadi kalau mahal lah harga kelapa sawit di pasaran, maka fair value of the biological asset is also high. And then the cost to sell are the incremental cost directly attributable to the disposal of the asset. It does not include finance cost and income tax. Jadi macam kelapa sawit contoh lah kelapa sawit ni, apabila kelapa sawit ni kita sabit ataupun we detach the palm oil from the oil palm tree. Macam mana cara nak detach dia? Kalau pokok rendah kita panggil pahat. Kalau pokok tinggi kita pakai sabit. Siapa yang petik kelapa sawit tadi? Petik kelapa sawit tadi menyebabkan adanya upah kat situ. Ada upah untuk memetik kelapa sawit. Kemudian ada juga cost incurred in bringing the palm oil tadi ke kilang. Itu dikira sebagai incremental cost directly attributable to the disposal of the asset. So itu dikira sebagai cost to sell. Factors to consider in determining the fair value. Grouping them according to their significant attributes like age group or quality. Let's say you have 1,000 apa ni kita panggil 1,000 unit of 1,000 unit of cow. 1,000 unit of cow. Ada 100 ekor lembu. Lembu tadi sama saiz tak? Takkanlah lembu tadi exactly the same kan? Kemudian berapa kilogram? Takkan semuanya sama. Berapa besar? Takkan semuanya sama. So takkanlah kita nak panggil valuer ni to value the cow one by one. Kan one by one ni. Yang cow pertama ni harga dia 1,101. Kan? Cow yang kedua ni 1,115. Cow yang ketiga 999. Takkanlah kita nak buat macam tu. So that is very difficult. So grouping them according to their significant attribute like age group or quality. Okay, age group. So maknanya apa yang dia boleh buat untuk lembu yang berumur 6 bulan, dia akan kategorikan sebagai satu kumpulan yang berharga setiap satu katalah RM800. And then secondly, B, fair value is determined independently. Fair value is determined independently. And C, the existence of active market. Okay, so normally if there is fair value in the market, if the asset is available in the market, then we can find the fair value in the market. If the asset is not available in the market, how are we going to have the fair value in active market? Okay, and then another factor to be considered is no active market. So what will be the fair value if there is no active market? And lastly, no active market in present condition of the asset. There is a market, but there is no active market in present condition of the asset. Okay, ada jual lembu di pasaran, tapi lembu yang macam kita ni tak ada. Contohnya lembu kita ni adalah lembu import. Saiz dia 2 kali ganda daripada lembu yang ada. So no active market in present condition of the asset. So basically there are a lot of factors to be considered in determining the fair value, not only one factor. And then what about gain and losses? Of course, if you are involved in business, you cannot run away from gains, you cannot run away from losses. People like gains but do not like losses. However, gains and losses are very, very normal for business. For biological asset, gains or loss on biological asset will arise due to changes in fair value, less cost to sell between reporting dates, and initial recognition of a biological asset at fair value, less cost to sell. For example, when a calf is born. Okay, apa dia ni? Gain or losses of biological asset. Okay, kalau katakan biological asset tadi lembu. Okay, biological asset tadi lembu. Masa dilahirkan, okay, berapakah fair value less cost to sell of that calf? Okay, berapakah fair value less cost to sell of that calf? Katakan lembu tadi semasa dilahirkan, dia punya fair value less cost to sell is 100. Lahir saja 100. Lahir saja 100. So at that time 100. And then after 6 months, katalah after 6 months tu adalah dia punya year end. 6 months tu adalah the year end of the company. So maknanya dia selepas 6 bulan, berapakah fair value less cost to sell calf tadi? Anak lembu, calf. Katakan nilai dia sekarang 700. So there is the difference between 700 and 100. Okay. Jadi the difference between 700 and 100 is 600. 600 is gain. Gain. So dia kata gain or loss on biological asset will arise due to changes in fair value, less cost to sell between reporting dates, and initial recognition of a biological asset at fair value, less cost to sell. Okay. For example, when a calf is born. Jadi when the calf is born tadi 100. After 6 months on reporting date, it is 700. So the difference is 600. 600 is a gain. 600 is a gain on this particular calf. All these gains and losses are recognized as income in the statement of profit or loss for the period. Jadi kalau gain kita recognize as income, kalau loss kita recognize as expense in the profit or loss for the period. Next, gains or loss for agricultural produce. For agricultural produce, gains or loss will arise on initial recognition of the produce. The gain or loss is the fair value less cost to sell. Then the gain or loss is recognized in the statement of profit or loss in the period of harvest. Okay. Jadi biasanya kalau katakan kita selepas kita petik kelapa sawit, okay, kita akan recognize dia punya fair value less cost to sell. Okay, fair value less cost to sell. Jadi kat situ fair value dia berapa fair value dia? Okay, adakah fair value dia less cost to sell lebih besar daripada lebih besar daripada pasaran ataupun lebih kecil daripada pasaran. The gain or loss is the fair value less cost to sell. Okay. The gain or loss is recognized in the statement of profit or loss in the period of harvest. Okay. Jadi basically kita punya slide ni dah habis. Okay. Kita lepas ni kita akan tengok contoh-contoh contoh-contoh. Okay, kita akan tengok contoh-contoh. Okay, saya akan keluar daripada sharing ni. Saya akan share balik example. Okay, belum ada di sini. Sekejap. Okay, now we have example here. Okay, example. Agribis Berhad is a public company in Jada Baik, Pahang. The company was incorporated 15 years ago. It has diversified its operation into many sectors in order to stay competitive and relevant in the agriculture industry. Okay, so what the company has? The company has, number one, oil palm plantation. So for this oil palm plantation, the primary business activity of the company was oil palm plantation. The expected returns from the oil palm plantation is 30 years, and it has been harvested since the last 12 years. A matured oil palm tree will produce fruit that grow in dense bunches, each weighing between 10 to 25 kilograms. Jadi pokok yang dah matang ni, dia punya buah dia, dia punya berat dia lebih kurang 10 hingga 25 kilogram. Okay, jadi saya tak pastilah sama ada awak pernah tengok buah kelapa sawit ataupun tidak. Okay, pernah tengok, biasa tengok. Pernah tak angkat buah kelapa sawit? Ya, 10 hingga 25 kilogram ni, pernah tak angkat? Mungkin ada juga. Sebab saya dulu pun pernah angkat juga masa dekat kampung. Yang 25 kilogram ni, untuk masuk dalam kereta sorong ataupun kereta tolak tu 3 biji ataupun 3 tandan saja. 3 tandan saja boleh muat. Each ripe bunch is commonly known as fresh fruit bunches, FFB. And once it ripens, the fruit will turn bright red orange, indicating that it is ready to be harvested. Okay, about the story of oil palm plantation. So, boleh tak kita categorizekan oil palm tadi sebagai biological asset dan juga FFB tadi sebagai biological asset? Boleh tak? Okay, so kita analyse sikit. Boleh tak kita kategorikan oil palm tree tadi sebagai items of MFRS 141 dan juga FFB itu fresh fruit bunches sebagai items dalam MFRS 141. Boleh tak?
Boleh ke?
Boleh.
Boleh. Yang mana yang boleh?
Ya, it grow.
Pokok dia ke buah dia?
Buah dia.
Buah. Okey, buah dia fresh fruit bunches itu termasuk dalam MFRS 141 sebab dia adalah agricultural produce. What about the oil palm tree? Oil palm tree. Is it 116 or 141?
116.
116, yes. Yeah. Oil palm tree is under MFRS 116 property plant and equipment. So apa yang kita kena buat nanti? Kita kena buat apa? Depreciation semua dah. Ya. Dia kata useful life dia. Okay, oil palm ni sampai 30 tahun dia kata. The expected return is for 30 years. So kita akan depreciate dia untuk 30 tahun. Okay, oil palm tree tadi kita akan depreciate sampailah 30 tahun. Jadi dia kata it has been harvested since last 12 years. Okay, jadi untuk yang oil palm ni, macam mana kita nak depreciate dia? Kita akan start depreciate apabila dia mula berbuah dan kita mula petik buah. Okay, katakanlah dia umur dia, dia mula berbuah umur 3 tahun, kan dia mula berbuah. Daripada umur 0 hingga 3 tahun, kita tak depreciate. Dia belum matang lagi, kita tak depreciate. So, it stay at cost. Bila masuk tahun yang ketiga ataupun tahun keempat, apabila kita start harvest, kita barulah mula kita punya depreciation. So maknanya 30 tahun tadi, ya, 30 tahun tadi adalah bermula daripada tahun yang ketiga ataupun tahun yang keempat di mana dia mula menghasilkan buah. Okey. Jadi kemudian yang dia punya fresh fruit branches tadi ataupun kita panggil buah kelapa sawit tadi, itu dikira sebagai agricultural produce. Okay. Kemudian yang kedua pula. So agricultural produce tadi macam mana kita nak measure? It will be measured at fair value less cost to sell. Okay. Fruit farming. Okay, second is fruit farming. Fruit farming, ya. Agri is also involved in fruit farming. Currently, the company plants dragon fruit tree. Okay, pokok naga. And banana trees, pokok pisang. The dragon fruit and banana will be harvested when they are mature and will be sold to the locals. The fruit farm is open to the public during the fruit picking season. The locals can enjoy eating the fresh fruits while picking the fruits for a minimal amount of fees. The fruits will be sold at a cheaper price as compared to those fruits sold in the market. Okay. Jadi cerita tentang buah naga dan juga buah pisang. Okay. So basically buah naga dengan buah pisang ni, adakah dia agricultural produce? Is it agricultural produce? What about the banana tree and the dragon fruit tree? Adakah dia juga sebagai agriculture ataupun kita panggil biological asset ataupun dia property plant equipment? Biological asset bukan property plant equipment because of the useful life tu. Okay, useful life kan. Banana tree ni, bila kita tebang saja banana tree ni, dia tak boleh berbuah lagi. Okay. Tetapi untuk yang dragon fruit ni kita pun tak tahu berapa lama dia boleh berbuah. Mungkin setahun saja. Kan kita tengok pokok dia pun macam tak melayakkan dia untuk jadi property plant equipment lah. Ya. Di pokok dia pun bukanlah macam pokok yang kita kata macam pokok getah, pokok kelapa sawit. Okay. Jadi pokok dia tu macam pokok yang pokok sementara kan, pokok yang bukan dia punya useful life less than 1 year. It could be more than 1 year. Tapi mungkin tak adalah sampai 3 tahun, 4 tahun, 5 tahun. Okay. Kemudian petting zoo. Petting zoo. Agribis has a small petting zoo which is located at the heart of the fruit farm. Okay. Jadi dekat fruit farm tadi, tengah-tengah dia ada petting zoo. The animals raised in the petting zoo are rabbit, sheep, parrots and ponies. The visitors of the petting zoo are charged an entrance fee and they will get the chance to interact with the animals. Expert trainers are hired to maintain the petting zoo and the animals. The animals are fed with high quality feed and are vaccinated to maintain their health. So apa ni? Animals kat sini. Ada living animal kan? So adakah living animal ni dikira sebagai biological asset? Adakah dikira sebagai biological asset?
Yes.
Okay. So kita kena tengok definition, ya, definition of biological asset. Adakah dia ni fulfill the definition of biological asset? Okay, biological asset ni untuk apa dia? Untuk sale. Apa lagi? Untuk sale untuk apa lagi biological asset? Okey, tujuan biological asset tadi adalah untuk sama ada untuk dijual ataupun untuk mendapatkan agricultural produce ataupun untuk mendapatkan additional biological asset. Okey. Jadi dekat sini ada tak aktiviti tu? Adakah melibatkan aktiviti-aktiviti yang 3 ni? Iaitu sale. Ada tak jual pet tadi? Tak ada. Adakah kita nak menghasilkan agricultural produce daripada animals tadi? Tidak juga. Okay. Adakah kita nak menghasilkan additional biological asset untuk animal tadi? Pun jawapan dia tidak juga. So untuk dekat sini pet ni tidak dikira sebagai biological asset. Walaupun haiwan yang sama juga. Ada rabbit, ada sheep, ada parrot, ada ponies. Okay. Sebab kita bukan nak jual, kita bukan nak menghasilkan biological asset yang baru. Okay. Fish farm. Fish farm, Agribis also involved in fish farming. The company is involved in fish breeding and responsible for the growth of the fish. Currently, the company has several ponds which breed fish, freshwater fish such as catfish, patin, tilapia, and Javanese carp. Each pond is maintained by an expert that helps in raising the fish. Matured fish will be sold according to its weight and size. Okay, so yang ni clear lah. Yang ini clear sebagai biological asset. Ya. Okay, untuk fish farm. Okay, ada apa persoalan berkaitan dengan contoh-contoh ni? Tak ada ya? Okay, kita break dalam 3 minit. Lepas tu kita sambung lagi dengan example. Okey, boleh nak nampak tak file ni?
Yes, sir.
Boleh? Illustrative example ni nampak tak?
Nampak.
Okey kalau nampak kita teruskan. Jadi kat sini kita nak tengok how do we present how do we present the biological asset in the financial statement. Okay. How do we present the biological asset in financial statement? Okay, we can see this example. Example 1, XYZ Dairy Limited. Statement of financial position 31st December 20x1 and 20x0. Okay, so we go straight to the asset side of the statement of financial position. You can see from here. Non-current asset, dairy livestock. Dairy livestock immature. Immature maknanya apa? Yang belum matang. Belum matang immature. So kat sini adalah dia punya value dia 50.
Sir, yang kita orang ingat kan setunjuk file saja, tapi dia punya yang tutorial tak keluar, tak nampak.
Itu yang saya tanya tadi. Nampak ke
tadi.
tidak? Okey. Tak nampak lah maknanya. Okey. Saya kembali ke situ. Mana pula ni? Okey, sekarang nampak?
Nampak.
Okay, bagus. Okay, this is the one that I want to show you. Okay, how to show the biological asset in the statement of financial position. How to show them? So how to show them is by we can see from here non-current asset dairy livestock immature. Dairy livestock immature. Jadi kat sini dia deal with dairy livestock. Tapi ada yang mature, ada yang immature. So yang immature ni pun dia punya useful life dia more than 1 year. Okay. Sebab itulah dia masuk dalam non-current asset. Kemudian yang kedua, dairy livestock yang mature. Telah matang. So matang ni boleh jual dah. Boleh jual dan kalau kita nak jual lah. Tapi kat sini lebih kepada dairy livestock yang produce milk. Produce milk. Jadi yang ni, yang immature ni belum keluarkan susu lagi. Yang ni mature dah keluarkan susu. Kemudian kita ada subtotal for the year 2000x1 and 2000x0. Okay. Jadi kalau kita nampak di sini, ini adalah fair value less cost to sell. Fair value less cost to sell. We can see the figure is different. 20x0 and 20x1. 20x0 is more. Okay. We do not know how many units, but what we know is the fair value less cost to sell. Okay. Kemudian kita ada juga property plant equipment. Lain-lain tu biasalah. Biasa saja. Okay. Kemudian kita tengok yang lain lagi. Okay. In the statement of comprehensive income. Statement of comprehensive income here is actually statement of profit or loss. Okay. Sebelum kita tukar kepada statement of profit or loss, memang nama dia statement of comprehensive income. Jadi dokumen ni adalah dokumen yang agak lama sikit. Tetapi dokumen ni dokumen yang maknanya tidak expired lah. Okay. Statement of comprehensive income ni sebenarnya statement of profit or loss. Okay. So our statement of profit or loss comprise of revenue, fair value of milk produce. Fair value of milk produce. Okay. And then gains arising from changes in fair value less cost to sell of the dairy livestock. Jadi dia punya revenue dua saja. Revenue dia dua saja. Yang pertama fair value of milk produce. Yang kedua adalah gains arising from changes in fair value less cost to sell of the dairy livestock. Jadi dairy livestock tadi, maknanya apabila umur dia meningkat, ya, maka ada kat situ gains. The gains is actually arising from change in physical of the dairy livestock. Ya, daripada umur 2 tahun jadi 3 tahun. Jadi dia mengeluarkan lebih banyak susu. Dia lebih berat. Harga dia lebih tinggi. Contohnya begitu. Okey. Kemudian apa lagi? Dia ada okey, yang tu tak apalah, yang lain-lain tu kita nak tunjukkan macam mana kita nak present biological asset tadi. Kemudian satu lagi dalam statement of cash flow. Okay, in the statement of cash flow, under the operating activities. Okay, under the operating activities, cash flow from operating activities comprise of cash received from sales of milk. Cash received from sales of milk. Cash received from sales of livestock. Cash paid to suppliers and employees. Cash paid for purchases of livestock. So itu dia punya operating activities dia. Ya, activity dia apa? Cash received from sales of milk. Receive from sales of livestock. Ada juga dia jual livestock tadi. Jadi maknanya bukanlah setakat dia produce milk saja. Kalau orang nak beli lembu tadi, dia jual juga. Okay. Kemudian cash paid for supplies and cash paid for purchases. Alright. Okay. Jadi inilah basically on how to present, ya, ataupun to disclose the biological asset in the statement of financial position, in the statement of profit or loss, and in the statement of cash flow. Okay. So lepas tu kita nak tengok pula example yang kedua, ya, example yang kedua. Sebelum tu kita tengok sikitlah cerita tentang XYZ Dairy tadi. XYZ Dairy Limited is engaged in milk production for supply to various customers. At 31st December 20x1, the company held 419 cow able to produce milk, so yang dikira sebagai matured asset, and 137 heifers being raised to produce milk in the future, immature asset. The company produced 157,584 kilogram of milk with a fair value less cost to sell of 518,240 at the time of milking in the year ended 31st December 20x1. Ini cerita dia. Jadi dia ada berapa ekor? 137 yang belum boleh produce susu, 419 already producing milk. Okay, so ini adalah milk yang dia produce. Dan ini adalah fair value less cost to sell. Okay, kita tengok juga kat situ accounting policy dia sikit-sikit lah, ya. Livestock are measured at their fair value less cost to sell. The fair value of livestock is based on quoted price of livestock of similar age, breed and genetic merit, the principal market. Okay, milk is initially measured at its fair value less cost to sell at the timing of milking. Milking ni maknanya masa perah susu. The fair value of milk is based on quoted price in the local area in the principal or most advantageous market for the milk. Okay, jadi itulah dia cerita tentang XYZ Dairy Cattle tadi. Okay, kita tak nak tengok yang ni semua. Kita nak tengok example of physical change and price change. Okay, kita kata tadi ada gain, ya, fair value gain. Fair value gain is one item of revenue. Ya, kita tengok dekat sini tadi. Okey, dekat kita punya statement of profit or loss, ya. Kita ada kat sini. Selain daripada fair value of milk produce, kita ada gains arising from change in fair value less cost to sell. Okey. Jadi change in fair value less cost to sell, yang mana biasanya dia adalah gain, adalah disebabkan oleh dua reason. Ya. Fair value gain tadi disebabkan oleh dua reason. Reason yang pertama disebabkan oleh physical change. Yang kedua adalah disebabkan oleh price change. Jadi nilai dia meningkat disebabkan oleh physical change dan price change. So kita tengok ni, sebelum kita tengok soalan tutorial tadi, dah terlepas soalan tutorial. Okay. Example, physical change and price change. Physical change and price change. The following example illustrate how to separate physical change and price change. Jadi increase in value tadi disebabkan oleh physical change dan price change. So kita sebagai accountant ni, we as an accountant, we have to separate them between the gain because of physical change and gain because of price change. Separating the change in fair value less cost to sell between the portion attributable to physical change and the portion attributable to price change is encouraged but not required by the standard. Walaupun dia bukan wajib, tetapi kita as an accountant ni kita kena tahulah berapa banyak yang disebabkan oleh physical change dan berapa banyak yang disebabkan oleh price change. Okey, so kita ada data di sini. A herd of 10. A herd of 10. Apakah herd ni? Herd ni macam satu kumpulan, satu gerombolan. A herd of 10 2-year-old animals. 2-year-old animals was held at 1st January 2020 X1. Jadi pada 1 Januari 20X1 ada 10 ekor. Okey. 10 ekor haiwan yang berusia 2 tahun. Boleh bayangkan 10 ekor haiwan berusia 2 tahun pada 1 Januari. Maknanya opening balance lah ni. Okey. Kemudian one animal age 2.5 years old was purchased on 1st July 20X1 for 108. Kemudian dia beli pula selepas 6 bulan. Pada 1 Julai dia beli seekor pula. Seekor tu umur dia 2 tahun setengah. Okey, harga 108. And one animal was born on 1st July 20X1. On the same date tu, 1 Julai tu ada seekor anak haiwan yang dilahirkan, okey, pada 1 Julai 20X1. No animal was sold or disposed during the year. Per unit fair value less cost to sell were as follows. Okey, so ini adalah data-data berkaitan dengan fair value less cost to sell untuk 3 tadi. Kita ada 3 saja. 3 saja binatang. Binatang yang pertama adalah 10 ekor berusia 2 tahun pada 1 Januari 20X1. Secondly, 2.5 years purchased on 1st July 20X1 at 108. And the third one is newborn on 1st July 20X1. So, 2-year-old animal at 1st January 20X1 is 100. Jadi yang sebanyak 10 ekor ni, dia punya fair value less cost to sell is 100 each. 100 each. And then newborn animal at 1st July 20X1, the fair value less cost to sell is 70. And then 2.5-year-old animal at 1st July, it is 108. So settle yang 3 ni. 3 ni adalah yang ada pada tarikh masing-masing. Okey. Ada pada tarikh masing-masing 1 Januari, 1 Julai, 1 Julai. And then we are given also data for newborn on 31st December. Newborn on 31st December. If there is a newborn, if there is animal born on 31st December, the fair value less cost to sell is 72. 1 Julai tadi 70. Kalau dia lahir pada 31st December, 72. Okay. And then number 2, 0.5-year-old animal at 31st December. The fair value less cost to sell is 80. And then 2-year-old animal at 31st December, the value is 105. 2.5-year-old animal at 31st December, the value is 111. And 3-year-old animal at 31st December 20X1 is 120. So, do you think why the question has to detail out the prices or the fair value less cost to sell until 31st December? Because we want to analyze We want to analyze the fair value gain is because of what? Whether the fair value gain is because of change in price or the fair value gain is because of change in physical. So what is the meaning of change in price? Okay, change in price means, okay, change in price means the physical does not change. The physical does not change. If on 1st January 2000 X1, the age is 2-year-old, okay, the age is 2-year-old. On 31st December 2000 X1, the age is also 2 years old. Okay, and then we compare the price. The price on 1st January and the price on 31st December for 2-year-old animal. That is price change. For physical change, if the age of the animal is 2 years old on 1st January 2000 X1, then on 31st December 20 X1, the age is 3 years old. Okay, 3 years old. Okay, again, I repeat. Okay, on 1st January 2000 X1, the age of the animal is 2 years. Okay, so for physical change, the age of the animal on 31st December 20 X1 is already 3 years. So now we are going to compare, okay, we are going to compare the fair value less cost to sell for 2 years and 3 years old. For 2 years old and 3 years old, but the date that we are choosing is 31st December. The date that we are choosing is 31st December. So we are going to refer to 2 years old at 31st December, that is 105, and 3 years old on 31st December, that is 120. So the first one just now, 2-year-old, maintain 2-year-old with two different date. That's 2-year-old for 1st January and 2-year-old for 31st December. Whereas for the physical change, we are comparing the 2-year-old and 3-year-old on 31st December. Okay, itu physical change. Jadi price change ni maknanya the physical does not change, only the price of different date. Tetapi untuk yang physical change tadi, it change from 2 years old kepada 3 years old. Okay, physical change for the newly born from 0-year-old to 0.5-year-old. Okay, yang 2.5-year-old tadi, dia akan jadi 3-year-old. Itu physical change. Tetapi yang price change tadi, yang baru lahir, tetap baru lahir. Yang 2 tahun, tetap 2 tahun. Yang 2 tahun setengah, tetap 2 tahun setengah. Okay, jadi kita nak analyze kat sini. Okay, kita nak analyze. Okay, fair value less cost to sell of herd at 1st January 20 X1. Okay, ini adalah opening balance on 1st January X1. The fair value less cost to sell is, we have 10 unit and the fair value less cost to sell is 100. 10 unit times 100 equal to 1000. Next, we have a purchase. We have a purchase on 1st July, 2.5-year-old. 1 unit at 108. So we have additional 108 here. Okay, additional 108. Okay, next, we want to analyze the price changes. The fair value gain due to price changes. So we have three categories. The first one is the animal that we already have on 1st January. The second category is the animal that we purchased on 1st July. And the third category is the animal that was newly born on 1st July. Ada 3 kategori. So kita tengok price change untuk first category dulu, iaitu 10 unit 2-year-old on 1st January. So for price change, we are going to compare the price for 2-year-old on 2 different dates. Okay, on 2 different dates, that is on 1st January and 31st December. So on 1st January, the fair value less cost to sell of 2-year-old is 100 and on 31st December is 105. So the difference is 105 minus 100. The difference is 5. 5 times 10 is equal to 50. So the fair value gain for the first category is 50. Gain due to price change. For the second animal, second category is 1 unit of 2.5 years. So now we are comparing 2.5 years on the date of purchase, that is on 1st July 108, here, 1st July 108, and on 31st December for 2.5 years, 111. So 111 minus 108 is equal to 3. 3 times 1 is equal to 3. And lastly, for price change, okay, a newly born on 1st July 20x1, the fair value of newborn on 1st July is 70. And the fair value of newborn on 31st December is 72. Therefore, the difference is, okay, 72 minus 70 times 1 equal to 2. So, from this analysis, okay, we understand that the fair value less cost to sell gain due to price ataupun due to change in price is 55. Yeah, 55. 50 from the animal that we have already held on 1st January, and 3 from the second animal that we purchased on 1st July, and 2 from the newly born on 1st July. Okay, are you following?
Yes.
Yes. And then increase in fair value less cost to sell due to physical change. Okay, I mentioned to you just now, physical change means the change from 2 years old to 3 years old. The change from 2.5-year-old to 3-year-old. The change from newly born to 0.5-year-old. Kita tengok berapa bulan dia ada dalam company tadi. Okay, untuk yang exist on 1st January, dia setahun. So, 2 tahun, jadi 3 tahun. Untuk yang kita purchase on 1st July, daripada umur 2,5 tahun, campur 6 bulan. Campur 6 bulan, dia akan jadi 3 tahun juga. Manakala yang baru lahir tadi, campur 6 bulan, dia akan jadi 0.5 year. Okay, so how are we going to analyze this? We have 10 units. Okay, so we are comparing 2-year-old and 3-year-old on 31st December. So what is the fair value and less cost to sell for 2-year-old on 31st December? It is 105. Here, 105. 2-year-old 31st December 105, and 3-year-old 31st December is 120. Okay, we compare on 31st December, 2-year-old and 3-year-old. So the difference here is 15. The difference is 15 ringgit times 10 unit is equal to 150. Next, we go to the animal that we purchased on 1st July. So on 1st July, we purchased an animal with age of 2.5-year-old. And at the end of the year, the age is already 3 years. So we are now comparing 2.5-year-old and 3 years old on 31st December. So 2.5-year-old on 31st December is 111. So we put here 111, and 3 years old on 31st December is 120. So how much is the difference? The difference is 9. 9 times 1 is equal to 9. And last one, newly born. Okay, newly born. Okay, on 1st July, it is newly born. On 31st December, it is 6 month old ataupun 0.5-year-old. So we are comparing newly born and 0.5-year-old on 31st December. So newborn on 31st December is 72, and 0.5-year-old on 31st December is 80. So there is a difference of 8. 8 times 1 is equal to 8. Okay, 8 times 1 is equal to 8. Okay, so settle yang 3 ni. But there is another one. Another one. This another one, not because of we have another asset. No. But this one is actually from 0 to newborn. On 1st July, katalah dia lahir pada tengah hari, Dia lahir pada tengah hari, pada 1 Julai. Pada pagi tu, tak ada lagi. So, pada pagi tu tak ada lagi, kosong. Kosong kali 70. Tiada kelahiran pagi tu, kali 70 sama dengan kosong. Tapi, katakan tengah hari dia lahir. Tengah hari dia lahir, tiba-tiba dia lahir dan dia ada value. Fair value less cost to sell, that is 70. Suddenly you have 70 ringgit. This morning you do not have 70 ringgit. But in the afternoon you have 70 ringgit. So that one is also because of physical change. Daripada no physical kepada yes physical. No physical in the morning, in the afternoon you have one physical with 70 RM. So yang ini kita kategorikan sebagai physical change, bukan price change tapi physical change. Jadi physical change yang pertama ni adalah physical change daripada belum ada kepada ada. So daripada kosong kepada 70. Jadi kalau ada 10 ekor, 70 kali 10. 70 kali 10. Jadi kita dapat 1 kali 70 sama dengan 70. So increase in fair value less cost to sell due to physical change is 150 plus 9 plus 8 plus 70 equal to 237. Jadi yang paling menguntungkan sebenarnya kalau ada newborn. Kalau ada newborn ni paling untung. Sebab daripada tiada kepada ada. Alright. So kita dah calculate kita punya fair value less cost to sell due to price change and also due to physical change. Bila kita campur dengan opening. Kita campur dengan opening dan juga purchase tadi. So kita dapatlah total dia sebanyak at the end of the year sebanyak 1,400. 1,400. And this 1,400 can be checked. Can be checked ataupun can be reconciled. How to get this 1,400. Okay. Jadi patutnya kat sini 1,400 letak sini lah. Dekat tempat saya goyang-goyangkan cursor ni kat sini 1,400. And then we reconcile how to get the 1,400. At the end of the year we have 11 unit of animal with 3 years old. Betul tak? We have 11 unit. Kita start dengan 10 unit. Kemudian kita campur dengan 1 unit yang kita beli pada 1 Julai. So it is 11 unit time 120 equal to 1,320. And we have another unit that newly born on 1st July. Now the value is 80. So 1,320 plus 80 equal to 1,400. Okay. So I hope you can understand the process of analyzing and we come out with the fair value gain, okay, due to price change and fair value gain due to physical change, and at the end we calculate the balance carried down. So balance brought down di atas 1,000, balance carried down di bawah 1,400. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan kelas? Anything you want to clarify from here? Okay, jadi boleh rujuk baliklah apa yang saya bagi ni. Okay, kemudian kalau tak ada apa-apa soalan, mungkin sempat kita tengok sedikit soalan tutorial tadi. Okay, this tutorial question Suka Farm is a beef cattle farm which is involved in breeding and maturing cattle for future selling as its main business. The company does not involve in slaughtering activities. Jadi dia bela saja. Bela sampai besar lepas tu jual. Okay. The business was incorporated on 1st January 2014. At the same time, the company acquired 106-month-old and 42-year-old cattle. Okay, nampak tak Dia mula pada 1 January 2014, and then on the same day, the company acquired 106-month-old. and 42-year-old cattle. Jadi ada berapa masa tu? 100 plus 40 with different age. Different age Ini umur 6 bulan 100 dan umur 2 tahun ada 40. Okay. And then we are given the fair value less cost to sell for different dates. Okay. We are given on 1st January 2014, 6 month old. Okay, dibeli pada harga 80. On 1st January 2014, 2-year-old dibeli pada harga 110 setiap satu. So maknanya 100 kali 80. 40 kali 110. And then we are given also the data for 31st December for 6 month old, 2-year-old, 1.5-year-old, and also 3-year-old. Okay, so this is for the purpose of analysis, and you want to find what is the fair value gain required. Define the following: what is biological asset, what is agricultural produce. So what is biological asset? Do you remember? What is biological asset, what is agricultural produce? Biological asset is a living animal or plant. Agricultural produce is the harvested product of the entity's biological asset. Okay? Determine the following. Determine the following Okay, kita tengok dulu determine the following. Yang pertama, determine the initial cost of the calf and cattle on 1st January 2014. So what is the value of calf and cattle on 1st January? So calf ni yang umur 6 bulan ni dikira calf lagi, anak lembu. Yang umur 2 tahun tu dah kira lembu lah. Okay. So the answer is 100 times 80 plus 40 times 110. Total 12,400. Okay, 12,400. Second, determine the gain or loss in the fair value for both calf and cattle due to price and physical change. So kita tengok dulu price change. Price change. Okay. So do you remember that price change? We do not change the age. For price change, we do not change the age. We only compare the price. Yeah. We compare the price on 1st January and 31st December. The price on 1st January and 31st December. Price here, what I mean by price is the fair value less cost to sell. So what is the fair value less cost to sell for 6 month old on 1st January? On 1st January, it is 80. And on 31st December, it is 112. So we are comparing 112 and 80. And the difference is how much? 32. Yeah, 32 times 100 equal to 3,200. And then for the 42-year-old, we are comparing the fair value less cost to sell of 2-year-old on 1st January and 31st December. Okay, on 31st December, it is 118. On 1st January, it is 110. And the difference is 8. 8, 8 times 40 is equal to 320. So, the fair value gain because of price change is 3,520. And because of physical change, kita tengok pula. Okay, remember physical change, what we are comparing? We are comparing the different age. Yeah, we are comparing the different age. Okay, different age maknanya yang umur tadi 0.5, at the end of the year it become 1.5. Yeah, 0.5 sekarang ni jadi 1.5. So, kan kita boleh tunjukkan kat sini 0.5 move to 1.5 year old. Okay, move ya. Daripada 0.5 year old kepada 1.5 year old. Okay. Kemudian yang ni daripada 2 year old kepada 3 year old. Okay. So, for the 0.5 to 1.5, what we are comparing? We are comparing the fair value less cost to sell on 31st December. So, we are comparing 1.5 year old and 0.5 year old on 31st December. So, what is the fair value less cost to sell for 1.5 year old? It is 1 to 1. For 0.5 year old, 112. Okay, the difference is 9. 9 ringgit times 100 is equal to 900. Okay, 900 kat situ. Equal to 900. And for the 2-year-old that moved to 3-year-old, we are comparing with 2-year-old and 3-year-old on 31st December. 3-year-old is 130. 2-year-old is 118. So 130 minus 118, it is 12. 12 times 40 equal to 480. So from here we know that, okay, the fair value less cost to sell gain, okay, because of physical, it is 900 plus 480. The total is 1,380. Okay, price change is 3,520. Physical change is 1,380. Okay, class. Okay, in the next class, insyaAllah we are going to discuss the other question. Soalan yang berikutnya yang saya bagi itu untuk next class lah, insyaAllah. So, I hope you refer back to all the materials that I have supplied to you. Okay, all the materials that I have supplied to you together with the video after this. Okay, lepas ni kita akan ada, saya rakam video ni. Okay, awak tengok balik dan try to understand, okay, and try to do the other set of question. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan sebelum kita bersurai?
No, sir.
No question. So I hope everybody understand what we have learned today. Jadi kalau tak ada apa-apa, betul tak ada apa-apa. So kehadiran hari ini agak sedikit sangat ni. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 campur 6, 15. 15 saja. Okay. Jadi hopefully kawan-kawan yang tak datang ni, dia next time datanglah kelas. Because there is a difference between watching the video and attending the class. Okay. So with that, we end our class today with surah Wal-Asr. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal-Asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilus solihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.